welcome back. We're in conversation with the founder and leader of the EFF, Julius Malema. I've been asking you to send some questions if you have any, so I'll start with some questions that came through via X. Lane says, the question to Julius, how must people trust the EFF when its prominent leaders are leaving the party for other opposition parties? What is it that the EFF is not doing right that makes its best leaders to leave? I'll get you to respond to that, Mr. Malema, before I go to the next question.
Well, what is it that the EFF has changed from its formation until now? That which you have been voting for, and now they've changed and said they are no longer following that policy. They are following a certain policy. Therefore, we have to change. We have to support political parties as political parties with policy position on matters. You can put DA policy on education here, put EFF policy on education here, and then the rest of these others you can put their policies anyway. So it's unfortunate if people are going to follow individuals. There's nothing we can do about that. The ANC suffered the same blow when people decided to follow an individual. So with the EFF, it was not individual. It was a policy conference that adopted the founding manifesto. And that's what you should trust in. And the constitution of the EFF, all of them are still intact. EFF on any issue that it was founded on. If you voted for it in 2019 and in 2014, that issue is still there.
Yeah. All right, that was the first tweet that came through. There are other tweets as well. Lehasa says, Lochani Batu Beketu, can you please ask Mr. Malema if he's ready to change open border policy, because it's alleged that the open border policy destroyed his party. That's a message there from Legasa. This is one of the questions that I have around the issue of immigration and how you think you have addressed it. Because when I told people you're coming on the show and I said, what issue do you want me to raise with Julius Malema? A lot of them said, please get his thoughts on the issue around immigration and whether he thinks the messaging has been correct over the years. What is your view on that?
My brother, in 2014, I was told to change land expropriation without compensation because the message is not right. They will always find something to attack you. They split hairs. And when I stood firm on land expropriation without compensation, they were even doing campaigns, giving people title deeds. They say, people want title deed, this person is going to take your land and all of that. All of a sudden it has changed. It's no longer about the land. This open border policy was there in 2014, was there in 2019, but it didn't work. What else can we find to attack them? Whether me and you like it or not, there are no borders in South Africa. That is just something written for formality on the founding manifesto of the EFF. There are no borders, my brother. I can tell you, it's like we behave like a mad person who has got a shack and a yard. He's given a stand with a shack. He goes and put a gate where there's no fence. You put a gate. When you go to Mqib, Uyamalopo, Ukia gate here like a lock, yet you don't have a fence. When you come back and unlock that gate and open. Your neighbor is looking at you, he's like, what is this? Gate and Mackenzie was running all over Limpopo River, saying it's chasing Zimbabweans who are crossing into South Africa, almost eaten by crocodiles for doing that. But the foolish him, he didn't know. He was proving what I'm saying correct, that there is no fence. So what open border are you talking about, which is not happening now? Which is going to happen after the EFF takes over government. These Africans have always been here. If you doubt, there is a language called Fanaka law. It was formed long before the arrival of the EFF. Why? The migrant laborers met. They couldn't communicate amongst themselves when they were building South African economy. It was built by Zambians, it was built by Mozambicans, it was built by Zimbabweans, it was built by South Africans who could not communicate amongst themselves. They formed a language, Fanaga law. Where was the EFF when these migrant laborers were here? I'm just saying, we must not find ourselves behind time. The EFF is being punished for being ahead of the times. We say things now, you guys come to appreciate them extremely late because we're too far in thinking. So, and these Africans, when you needed them, they were there for you. The frontline states were there. People got killed in Lesotho. People got killed in Mozambique. People got killed in Swaziland, in Botswana, because they were suspected to have been harboring the terrorists, meaning your liberators, your liberation movements were alleged to have headquarters in those places. Someone says, don't tell us about Nigerians. You even go to an extent of saying Nigerians gave us money for our liberation. It's true. From the civil servants of Nigeria, monies were deducted from them to support the liberation of South Africa. So today we are in a comfortable place. We say we don't want them. The EFF agrees that we don't want undocumented people in South Africa. How can we say South Africans must get IDs and then welcome people who are not undocumented? Everybody has to be documented so that if any wrongdoing happens, for whatever reason we're looking for you, we need to find your location. So we need to find a way. They are here already. You go and put them in Lindela with our state money, which you are saying it's supposed to buy medicine. We pay buses, we take them back. They come back the following day, not next week.
So what would be your solution as the EFF?
The solution is let's go and document these people.
So don't deport them, rather find a way to formalize them.
We need to document them because whether you like it or not, my brother, they are here. You know what they do in December? They hand themselves over in Lindela so that they can go and eat Christmas at home. And then in January, they come back. That money could have been used on some feeding scheme to feed the children of the poor or in the clinics. The reality of you are in denial. The xenophobic people are in denial. That's a problem. They are in denial that these people are here. They think they are still coming. They're not coming, they're here. How do we deal with that?
What about the issue of scarce resources? Because you know about the unemployment in this country. And what government is trying to do is also make it difficult for foreign nationals to have jobs here. Not necessarily make it difficult, but you need to find a way so that you don't get a helper or anybody else where there's no scarce skills who gets a job here without considering South Africans first. So how do we deal with the issue of scarce resources? Because when you've got all of them here and you're saying let's formalize them, we don't have jobs. So the competition is high. So you're going to have South Africans that are without jobs. Some of the jobs are really taken by some of the foreign nationals, whether they're here legally or not.
I've never had a country where it says it doesn't want to grow. Numbers matter when it comes to geopolitics. China, it is what it is because of its size of its population.
But its economy is growing very well. Ours is not.
Because the leadership is working. Let's industrialize. Let's make sure that manufacturing grows in South Africa. Let's create jobs. But all I'm saying is, you are saying these people are coming to take jobs. Which jobs are you talking about? Because there are no jobs that South Africans are accepting which are a reflection of slavery. These people are being enslaved here in South Africa. And when you say they've taken South Africans' jobs, you are saying South Africans must be enslaved. These are not jobs. These are slaves' jobs, which South Africans don't want to work abnormal hours, to work under difficult conditions and don't get paid and don't have rights. So no South African wants that. At the level where it's a required skill, South Africa makes it very clear that we must give preference to South Africans who've got the similar requirement. Unless we don't have artisans, then we go and fetch from other countries. We're going to chase these people out of South Africa. Tomorrow, the whole plumbing system and sewer system of South Africa will go into a blockade and will not be in a position to help ourselves because we don't have artisans.
Yeah.
The whole of South Africa will go into electricity crisis because you chased away the electricians.
But we do have South African plumbers and South African electricians.
But they are not enough. They can't meet the demand. It's like saying we produce chicken in South Africa, therefore we can't take chicken from South Africa. We don't produce to the capacity of the demand of South Africa. So all I'm saying is, where a job is given, a South African with a same qualifications should be given a preference. We cannot prefer a person who's not a South African to the one that is going to pay tax in South Africa. And that is not what we are dealing with. I want you to present any stats to me that says if we deport these foreigners, so many jobs are going to be created. Look at what's happening in education. We are retrenching educators, not because foreigners have taken the positions of educators. We don't have the political will to sustain those jobs. As a result, they're going to be lost, not because of any foreigner. The steel factories have closed down, not because of any foreigner. The infrastructure in South Africa is decaying because there is no leadership that wants to look after that. It's not a foreigner. Manufacturing, which used to be the biggest contributor to our GDP, it is actually being replaced by finance, which doesn't create a lot of job opportunities for our people. But you know that if you go into manufacturing, you are going to create a lot of jobs. A factory, manufacturing used to account for thousands of jobs, more than 150,000 jobs in manufacturing alone. Today, you can't count more than 80,000 of jobs in manufacturing. So you can't say the foreigners have actually, the jobs are still there, 150,000 of them, the foreigners have taken them. No, the factories have closed down and jobs were lost, not because foreigners came in, but because the financial sector has overtaken manufacturing, and financial sector does not want to deal with industrialization. Anything long term, the financial sector does not want to support it. Why? Because they deal with hot money. They deal with what short-term investment, and they don't want anything to do with long-term investment.
Let's talk about the EFF electoral performance. Yes. It wasn't the best of results. You're now under 10%. Do you think that part of the problem, I'm sure you've done your assessment by now of whether or not some of the things that EFF did or said were a result of that electoral performance. And I wonder if your approach in Parliament over the years was also a part of the problem in your view, because you did say after elections that our strategy is now going to change. You're not going to see us shouting and being kicked out of Parliament. We're going to no longer disrupt parliamentary meetings, but instead focus on playing a robust opposition. Do you think that also affected your performance?
No, that is what sustained the EFF. You can't introduce yourself like you have been here. You ought to introduce yourself in a manner that you will be felt that you have arrived. So you must learn the law of presence. So for the past 10 years, we're establishing the presence of the EFF in Parliament through the approach and through our regalia, which was a reflective of representation of the working class. We never lost support because of that. Because that behavior, if you check it, by the way, it was worse between 2014 and 2019. It was more robust and more radical and got us more vote in 2019. Why would it lose us vote in 2024? I'm just saying, my brother, we must not listen to people who have a mind of a rat, who can't think behind 10 years as to what happened previously and what's happening now. Then we get numbers in 2019, which we never expected. Boom. in KZN 350,000 to the EFF. When we look at why did we get this result, it's because there are people who are angry with Cyril Ramaphosa in the ANC and who are fighting for Zuma, and they've got no home. That's why they ended up taking cover under the EFF. What the EFF failed to do was to take that opportunity and intensify political education and convert them into permanent supporters of the EFF. So the EFF lost no numbers to anything except losing numbers to that which never belonged to it. And EFF did not take effort to win it over. It just took it as obvious that these people are ours. Whereas when Marshall was giving us results in KZN in 2019, we were actually shocked. He says we passed 100,000. We passed 200. I said, don't play such games. He said, hey, man, we're coming this way. So we were shocked in 2019 by KZN performance the same way we're shocked now by KZN performance. No policy position. So let's take open borders. Why Mashaba did not get 10%? Because your measure of success, all of you, is 10%. That if you support an open border where there is African unity, you lose vote. Why did Mashaba get the votes? Why didn't get the Lepantiti get the votes? Because he jumped there, almost fainted. Mabahambe. He got nothing close to 10%. Mashaba and Gaten Mabahangbe group combined still don't come close to the EFF.
But they're not as old as the EFF.
And they still did not get what the EFF got when the EFF was their age. Don't forget that. So you must compare those things. Yeah. Don't be ahistorical.
Yeah. Let's talk about so how do you crystallize that support though? Because the MK party really ruffled feathers now. A lot of parties, including yourselves, are feeling. How do you go back to the drawing board?
Makai, we lost less than 1%, but you guys are projecting us as if we lost 17%. The ANC lost in this election, but the ANC is being covered with the face of the EFF. The same thing you did with VBS, to put the EFF to be the face of VBS and not the ANC. The ANC lost big time. The EFF is going to regain its lost ground because the EFF, its policy and its leadership did not do anything wrong to offend South Africans. If anything, we're working very hard, and we're the only organization that works very hard for South Africans. None of these organizations put boreholes. None of these organizations renovate old age homes. None of these organizations, as organizations, take children to schools, re-gravel the roads, try to patch the potholes, try to create some bridges for our communities. The EFF does that. None of these people do what we're doing.
Speaking of EFF, it's also a matter that has come out a lot for the organization, even before the elections post. There's now an affidavit by Chifiwa Matodzi, and you have spoken already responding to that in some way. The question I have, though, is when you look at Skamega, right, as a company, have you personally received any monies from Skamega? Because Skamega was doing business with Vele Investments. Vele was receiving money from VBS. Did you personally receive, or any of your family members close to you receive any monies from Skamega?
As a neutral, journalist, you should be knowing that I was cleared by Parliament Ethics Committee. All of this, that which you are asking, were alleged and sent to Ethics Committee in Parliament, where the ANC was still in majority. They still could not find me guilty because I've never done anything wrong. None of my families have ever done anything wrong. If anything, I said in that Parliament that you are talking, and I was saying this to Kumbuzo, you are talking about VBS. You want to know more information, what is VBS? Ask the minister next to you. And I was referring to Tembinga Dime, who had taken money to VBS, and today she's in trouble You know why she's in trouble? It's not because of VBS. Because she went to fight for the independence of the NPA. Batoyi wants to hand over NPA to those guys of Zondo Commission. They want recordings of Zondo Commission from her. They want all types of things. And Batoyi wants her contract extended. And when Tembi put her foot down, they went for her. Because those guys who were leading, I don't know, they were like the prosecutors of Zondo Commission.
Evidence leaders.
The evidence leaders. They are now working for NPA after they referred the Zondo Commission report to NPA and said, guys, you will decide if you want to prosecute or not on that side. Then they went to catch them on the other side, wanting to prosecute the people. They said, we are done with them, you will make a decision. So she says, how? How do you do that? Okay, the recordings. She says, give me, the recordings is these things of spying. They were spying on us. Listening to our phones, listening to listening devices and all of that. All of that, the custodian of that is the Department of Justice. So she has put those things safe under whatever administration. But Toy says, bring all the recordings to me, of the Zondo Commission. She says, no, it doesn't work like that. You say, I want Clement, the recordings, and these are the things I want in the recordings.
Yeah.
The Department of Justice, they've got their own mechanism. They go and listen, take only that part, and then give it to Batoyi. We don't want to know your girlfriend through Batoyi because you'll be hearing the things she's not supposed to be hearing if she gets all the recordings.
Yeah.
So they want to kill her because they want Gwede, they want all of them and all of that. We don't have a problem with that. But they are now using VBS as a smokescreen. She did not commit VBS now as a Minister of Justice. Why was she not the face of VBS when the EFF was the face of VBS? What happened now for them to go for her? Because she came from that VBS arrangement in Polokwane to become a Minister of Kokta. Is it allowed that you can be a Minister of Kokta even if there are allegations of corruption, but not Minister of Justice? Where were these allegations?
What about Brian? I mean, I don't know if she's a member of the organization, but he's had to pay back over 4 million rand back to people who are handling what's happened with VBS now. I mean, you are the people that are fighting for those that have benefited anyhow to be held accountable. Have you asked Brian the questions like that, Floyd Shivambu's younger brother?
No, it's not my place. Why should I go around asking members about what they are doing? You are right, you are saying people are being held accountable. And when I heard that he's paying back the money, that is part of being held accountable. Zuma paid back the money. Zuma also paid the VBS, if he did, a bond, which he got. Naledi Pando was also in the VBS bond or something, which, yes, she was there. They are your darlings. You will never know their names. You know the names of those you don't like. To demonstrate there's no principle. Many names, a lot of names are there. This is just used to blackmail people. When they try to speak, they say, we'll release this thing about you. So if he paid, good for him. That is part of being held accountable. It means he got the money because this is a transaction between companies and banks. And then the curators said, we want our money. You know, curators asked even the king of the Bavenda king, do you know Malema? When they called him in a hearing, how do you know him? How did he get into the VBN? And he came back shocked that, how do I get questioned half a day about you and how I know you when we have because it was a political witch hunt, which I defeated, which I will still defeat. They are going to come out of that thing of VBS one by one. They are going to eat each other through Batoyi in the NPA because she says these people are accusing me. Even my friends internationally are laughing at me that I've come into this position. I've not done anything. Doing anything is to go after prominent politicians that are found in Zondo Commission, which we don't have a problem with. Those are their own problems.
I'm told I've got 30 minutes. They're going to fight with me. What's your
30 minutes.
assessment? 30 seconds. 30 seconds. What's your assessment of the GNU so far?
It has failed. How can a minister not go to a place where the president is signing a bill? That is bringing cabinet into disrepute. The president should have fired that minister there and there, because when you are there, you are no longer serving the DA constitution. You are serving the South African constitution. This has failed even in practical terms, not in theory. The Bella Bill exposed these people for what they are: a marriage of inconvenience, a DA-led government. It's not an ANC-led government. It's a GNU. Helen told you, where I went to him, he said, let me lie to them and say it's a government of national unity, because if I tell them straight that it's me and you, they are not going to agree. So it has failed. Whether they are in denial or not, it has failed. They are going to fight on NHI. They are going to fight on NPA. Because the reason why you see the Communist Party taking a posture it is taking, you must just look at where does Gwede Mantashe stand in all of this. That's why the Communist Party does not agree, because they know there is a crocodile waiting to swallow them.
Julius Malema, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you for your time.
And thanks to you for watching the Tuesday edition